The Avalon Marshes is a magical wetland landscape that lies at the heart of the Somerset Levels and Moors. It's nationally important for its rich cultural heritage, including Glastonbury Tor and the Isle of Avalon, and its diversity of wildlife, which includes some of Britain's best wetland nature reserves. The landscape is perhaps best known for peat and water. For thousands of years people have been drawn to the area, once for food, fuel and safety, now for relaxation, wildlife and heritage. At the end of the last ice age, the Avalon Marshes did not exist. As the glaciers melted, the sea level rose rapidly until the only dry land left was the Poldon Hills and the islands of Wedmore, Birtle, Godney, Westhay and Avalon. The sea level then began to drop, and reed beds started to colonise. As the plants died, their remains fell into the water. This was the start of the formation of the Avalon Marshes peat beds, known as the peat moors. Over time, as the peat layers built up, brackish water was replaced by fresh water. Eventually, trees such as alder, willow, birch and even oak grew on the drier areas and gradually replaced the reed swamp. In the 18th and early 19th centuries, the peat moors were drained and the soils improved for agriculture. The 20th century saw the growing use of peat in horticulture, especially for gardeners. By the early 1990s, over 250,000 tonnes of peat were being extracted annually, leaving parts of the Avalon Marshes looking like an industrial landscape. This caused concern about the environmental impact, as even areas of great conservation importance were dug. Somerset Wildlife Trust and the government's Nature Conservancy Council, now Natural England, worked to protect what they could. The land was passed on to Somerset Wildlife Trust, Natural England and the RSPB. All three organisations worked together to create the reed beds and lakes, which are now at the heart of the Avalon Marshes nature reserves.
It has become this tremendous mosaic of habitats, home to a wealth of wildlife. We have new species moving in all the time. We now have populations which are really strong. Bitterns, for example. Last year we had around 56 males recorded, largest population in the country, and that's fantastic for Somerset.
Bitterns have come back in big numbers due to the conservation efforts of the organisations here. We now have between 40 and 50 booming males every year, which is a bit of a record, and it's a stronghold across the UK now for bitterns, and that is all down to the work of those organisations.
We've been recently designated as a supranational nature reserve, second in the country. So we are creating this wonderful connection across the county as a corridor for wildlife and nature to thrive.
Across the UK and the rest of the world, biodiversity is in decline and nature is in crisis. But the Avalon Marshes is an ancient landscape being brought back to life by communities, landowners and businesses, all working together to manage the land to achieve a nature-rich wetland landscape.
We walked round the mire as well, didn't we,
Yeah,
Phil?
we've had a fabulous day actually. We've looked at the wildflowers, lots of butterflies. We've had the great white egrets, the swans, the hobbies. It's been a real paradise down here actually.
Even on an overcast day, there is an awful lot of wildlife to see, and generally it is such a peaceful, enjoyable experience.
Not only is this a beautiful place to visit and an area for wildlife to thrive, but the marshes can also help tackle climate change. That's because ecosystems like peatlands are capable of absorbing and storing large amounts of carbon dioxide and are known as carbon sinks.
Peat industry has been operating here since the 1950s and 1960s, and it was being bagged for horticulture all over the country and abroad, and that really is an issue. And over the years, lots and lots of carbon has been stripped out of here. It's left really big voids which we've been able to turn back into conservation areas. But in the main, that carbon that has gone from the peat, it will never return, not in thousands and thousands of years. So in fact, it's done quite a lot of damage overall. If you walk around this site, you'll see that we do talk about the peat industry, because if we hadn't had that sort of dug away, we'd never know what some of the buried archaeology is like out here.
The landscape also provides significant income to the local and county economies through agriculture and ecotourism.
So this is one of our new structures at Westgate Moor. It's designed similar to a lake house village that would have once been found out here. All the structures that we design and put into our reserves, we try to create as a structure for people, but also suitable for wildlife. We have a tawny owl that's using the structure just over there, and within the roof space behind me is a designed bat roost. People that may not have been out into the countryside before can, help plan their journey, their visit by looking at our website. We've done work with Google Maps so people can have a virtual tour of some of our structures before they even visit. They can, once they get here, using their phone, they can look at spotter guides, trails. So we are trying to create an experience for a whole wide user group of visitors.
Ham Wall is situated at the eastern end of the Avalon Marshes reserves. We're about 3 miles from Glastonbury, and the RSPB have been involved here since about 1994, and the work we've been doing has been restoring old peat workings into a thriving wetland nature reserve. And it was quite experimental at the time, so the first few phases here were very much a learning experience, I think, for everybody involved. But over time it's been built up from a tiny little 20 hectare block into a 267 hectare nature reserve now. We coordinate with our partners on how we manage the sites. We also share a lot of machinery and time and kit. One of our guys is actually going off to do some work for the Wildlife Trust in a couple of weeks with our reed cutting machine to help them out, and they'll do something for us probably later in the year or next year. We've also got volunteers who'll come out during the spring and summer and carry out lots of monitoring work for the various species that are here, and we're keen to grow that team. There are a whole range of roles that we offer. Some are doing sort of the practical stuff on the reserve, so you can come out and get involved in some of the habitat management or some of the estate's infrastructure. We've got a huge team of people that help welcoming visitors and getting them teas and coffees, and just directing people around the site and showing them things when they're out on the reserves, and sharing their knowledge with people.
We have actually put more options on our menu, which will bring in more people. We are doing more gluten-free and vegan options, is very, very popular. And we've got more undercover seating, which is very, very popular in the winter because we have the starling murmurations here and we get very busy in the winter. One passion of ours is to use local produce, which we do with the local farm, and also to employ local people. One of our members of staff, George, has been with us since he was 15. And we've also had one other member of staff who's gone on to uni but comes back in the holidays. So to build their confidence up has been amazing to watch and see.
Somerset Crafts is about 20 members, and we're all local artists and craftspeople, and between us we run the gallery where we sell and display our work. We take our inspiration from the surrounding countryside, from the nature reserves, from the Avalon Marshes themselves, with the beautiful skies, with all the wildlife, the fauna, the flora. There is so much inspiration for the artists here, and we do take advantage of it.
So what you see around you here are some reconstructions of an Anglo-Saxon hall on this side. There's a Roman villa on the other, and going on our right here is a new roundhouse that's going up. And these are to celebrate some of the historical periods of the time. 10 years of work has gone into this place now, which is finally coming to fruition because we're open to the public and people can have a tour and see these beautiful buildings. But it's all down to the work of these hands-on heritage volunteers that have been absolutely a splendid asset to the Avalon Marshes.
Together, we can bring back wildlife. The things that we do, the action we take, the contributions we make, all add up to a wilder future. One where both people and wildlife thrive alongside each other in these wonderful places. For more information about our conservation work and how you can get involved, please visit avalonmarshes.org.